For 7 minutes, Terry. Yeah.
Welcome, everybody, to Mud Flood Was Armageddon. Mud Flood was Armageddon. Don't let them tell you anything else unless it's a flat earth nation in the golden age past, unless they're willing to debate you in a fair and honest way. Thank you for your patience, everyone. I'm a few minutes late. I've been talking with my big brother, Randy, the famous Randy from Wisconsin. How are you, brother? Thanks for joining.
Yeah. Let the weekend begin.
What a day, right? You started off, you gave me a call. Hey, how is your brother-in-law?
I said he was probably at a point when we left, he could only begin feeling better.
He had a call. Randy, you know how Randy, when anybody in that big family needs help, they call the man Randy, and he took him in there to get the colostomy. And dang, that's like hello. So he was had to give him the ride home, and I said, "Well, you have me baffled because I was talking to Randy while he was having the procedure, and we were talking about the soul has no gender or race. That's for my big brother, and so I would pay attention if I were
You
you.
broke up. You
Soul
broke up.
has no gender or race. Did you get it that time?
Yep.
This whole body and soul thing and spirit, we're going to have to get at it. But today is basically just, you know, okay, good. Yeah, I did some more mushrooms and I'm sick. Yeah, I'm going to come after all of these fake people. Uh, you might be surprised who I'm going to be considering it because I am in a mood. Brother Randy, really, he doesn't mind if I do this every now and then. And he knew I was going to do it and he knows how I do it. And he gave me things to think about. And, I just feel like people should brace themselves because I'm a little Nephilim, Randy. And the way they're handling it is wrong. There's a right way to teach the Bible and a wrong way. And I'm going to show you that. And we're going to bring in the Apostle Paul and all, you just can't tolerate it. I even am going to get this off my chest. The first 5 books of the Old Testament. It's called the Pentateuch. Okay, it's those 5 books, the Pentateuch, the writings of Moses. I don't want to hear no Talmud Torah stuff because you know where that comes from, the Jews, and you know why they say that? Because there is no New Testament. It's just that, you know. So it can't be like, oh, there's a new covenant. Oh no, there's not. There's only Torah, Talmud. No, there's only you being silly, and we're going to go over that tonight too. Yikes, Randy. I just don't care because the way these guys are teaching it is not line upon line, precept upon precept. We will be looking at, wait, something. This one, Millennial Kingdom, Noel J just talked to Theron, and they were kind of buddies on that one. Now Noel's talking to Zen. Paul was talking to both of them. Here's the most disingenuous. Oh, now I can't have anything to do with that guy anymore. Okay, well, you should have. Don't act like you didn't know everything he believes before or who went on whose show. But you both. That's your reward. That those clicks that day, you were so happy. Oh, people going to go, support you going to the North Pole. You don't even know. We don't even know where the North Pole is. Randy, how are we doing?
Well, when you said earlier that you didn't care, the thing is, you do care, but you don't care how people receive you and the word that you present. I mean, you're just trying to, as far as proclaim the truth of Scripture, and that's and if that happens to be your crutch, well,
All right.
so be it.
Yeah, what I'm trying to say is that let me phrase it as, there's right or wrong, on how to preach the Bible. And if they're doing it wrong, somebody has to say it. It's never going to be, like, hey, that was fun. This doesn't bring me any great joy, but well, let's just start
Well,
it,
you even use the term, genuine. Well, there's
Right. It's not that
genuine.
I don't care, but it's that I have a full understanding that Jesus Christ came to bring division. And you better embrace that division because it's going to happen whether you like it or not. It's for a good thing because anything God does is for a good reason. There's going to be division, embrace it. Get on with it. That's why I don't care, because the people that don't like the message of line upon line, precept upon precept, they hear one thing one day, they're preaching it on their channel the next day. The battle hymn of the Republic is a golden age hymn. It's probably one of the most traceable songs by somebody that was trained by a theosophist. Oh, that's where I wanted to get that one thing, Randy, about you know what? I'm going to have to pull that up right now so I don't forget. Revelation 13. That's a pretty deep chapter, man. Wow. You know what I mean? So we'll get to that. But that has something interesting about the soul that will tie into that. Revelation. A lot of people consider that the unlucky thing. This is the whole 10 horns thing. Oh, I got this out too from. I'm not going to say this is directly, for sure. But there's this beast that had a horn lost. You know what I mean? And then it came back and was like, oh my goodness, it's that horn is back. They didn't think it would grow back, and now it's back. Remember that, Randy?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, what if that's Nazis and their nationalism and that whole idea of we're the special Bavarians, not barbarians. Okay. Operation Paperclip. Here come the Nazis. There was a wounded. Oh, that Nazi thing will never happen again. And who passed a law in 1958 called the National Defense Education Act that we go over all the time, that founded the STEM program to identify your geniuses, founded NASA. That's pretty good. And DARPA. And of course, it staffed it with Nazis, documented Nazis in charge of our banks, our schools, our new space program that's going to get all the money. And what did they have to do? They had to sign an affidavit in 1958 if they wanted to get paid. There's been no takeover. Maybe there was. Why don't some of these other Johnny-come-latelys that, whenever they take as a given the millennial reign and the golden age past, and they can reference the 128 verses that we found that are about, hey, this is questionable, bringing it out over years, line upon line, precept upon precept, and now they get all of that proof of, here's what they meant by soon, and boom, they go to all of the verses that we did it. And I'm sick of it, man, because these guys, the next thing you know, they're going like, they're laying out everything that took us years and going down to, I'm going to the North Pole because Jules Verne might not have been a bad guy. Yeah, he was a total bad guy. He was a theosophist. He hated Christ in the Bible. Come on. What's a better explanation of what the Lord showed me today, or whatever else that anybody else has heard about the horn that grew back? I just got the Nazis, 1958, documented, NASA, DARPA, STEM, and I swear this country hasn't been taken over. Now can I have my money? Yes, you can, because you swore that it hasn't been taken over.
It might be more than just the country, though. The Antarctic Treaty was about same time also.
I'm dealing with one country at a time tonight.
I mean, it required a few years for the countries being represented on that treaty. But yeah, it's probably beyond borders, more than likely.
You're in a cave, man.
Yeah.
That was a good one, though. Yeah, because it does. It takes a long time. It takes borders without, oh my goodness. That was all brand new. That was one I didn't pull up those tabs, but I like that one. So anyway, this is just disingenuous.
Whereas I was, last year, there was probably about a month long where I was just absorbing his videos like crazy.
You're going to share, correct?
Talking.
Yeah, no, I was just going to enjoy it by myself. I thought I was sharing it. Hey, where is it? This is Theron, and I'll back it up because he just said, "Oh, he's surprised at something Noel said the next day." He has devoured, he said, months of binge watching all of Noel's. So he knows everything he believes, but it was a chance for him to get, I got 56 viewers watching at one time, and people are behind me going to the North Pole. That's his reward, man.
As far as I was, last year, there was probably about a month long where I was just absorbing his videos like crazy. Then talking to him a little bit back and forth, and then I said something after one of his talks on Galatians where I was like, well, didn't you sort of come to the opposite conclusion of what Paul clearly said in this? He got upset and nasty like really quick, and I was like, that's odd.
So then I decided, now that I'm going to the North Pole, I should make a video with him again. How does that seem normal, Randy?
Well, I can't explain, what I think anyone else is thinking. And and a lot of things probably don't and shouldn't, make sense once you do a retrospect of, what you're, what you're evaluating.
You got me grinning from ear to ear, man.
I've since come to believe that the guy's a shill. This is where.
Oh no, he's a shill. Surprise! He just came to understand it. He devoured his material for a month. He went on his show. Neil is like, okay. Neil famously thinks we're in a time loop.
A chameleon is changing his colors or something.
Like they wrote Back to the Future in the future, came back and inserted it in the past so that we would know what they were referencing, because they needed it to explain how they were going to loop us. Groundhog Day much? I saw Conspiracy RS put out a Groundhog Day thing, but I was still, I'm not saying I'm tripping, but
well, I haven't caught it if it was a recent one.
Very recent, yeah, like
right along,
real late. Yeah, you got it. Usually would have been early this morning.
Of course. Okay, so whether it's flat Earth or even millennial reign or whatever it is, that this isn't just going to have all good guys in the truther movement. You're going to
wow, surprise, and I don't even think that Theron realizes. Okay. got a little money from daddy, went to, out of state school at private Wheaton, met his bride, beautiful girl. They're happy ever after. He's been church hopping ever since, in and out of a number of different beliefs. And now he's on to this, and it won't last. He's not going to be able to make it to the North Pole, and he'll have to give up. The day after, it was like, oh my gosh, what are we going to do with our goats for 6 months? Well, I guess not milk them would be on the list.
But someone should, yeah.
Somebody better. How about that? I just thought some people would like to look at some
Bane?
copper, native copper, spinal twined. Look at that one. You see, now these are expressed wirelessly onto the matrix of the rock, which is this heart-shaped thing. And as you can see, that would explain why, it's not just the copper, but the malachite, why some are sitting on the top. They just arrived wirelessly, why others are almost fully absorbed, And this probably 15, 18 footer would have been in a panic. It was flooding. He was running for his life. He was expressing these particles. And that's how that works, in case anybody was wondering where I was going with that.
Yeah. An extra shot of adrenaline will do quite a bit, maybe, huh? And then a glittering sword.
That'll get your attention. Oh my, we're going to be looking at Galatians 4. Not right now. That's a diamond. You know what diamonds are? Carbon. They're carbon. They grow in us. We're carbon too. Humans are pretty much carbon. Must be on large diamonds, so let's look at some. I thought it would get bigger than that. That's carbon too. That's in you because it's in the mountains. Did we talk about this? They call this a fossil. I just call it a body part. That's not really a pollen. Come on. It's just something developing in a body, These are, if you could wash it away with hydrogen peroxide, muriatic acid, you still see the division right here of, the grain of the rock, this part here would be getting it right from this part is the aortic valve feeding right into it. This is the swastika. This part is the swastika. This is going to get your blood cleansed again, just like your lungs. It goes in one good side, one out bad side. That's why it's split down the middle here. But more on this side because it's got to go take to the whole body. This one just going right up here.
The Gordian knot thing.
Yeah. It's got to get rewashed or something, your blood. So we're going to go over that. We got this pulled up. It's Groundhog Day. Boo Boo Bear sent me another comment. It's like we've never heard this one before. How do you count for the Book of Jude then? Nothing like, I never get like a hi Paco. Nothing. It's like I don't have feelings of a regular human or something, So, but I don't care, Boo Boo Bear, whatever. This is the Federal Coffee Palace. So I was watching this video before, right when you popped on, Randy.
Okay.
So that's these Huguenots. We got to get to the bottom of that. I really like the way doggone, I had the Huguenots on my mind and ready to look it up, and it ties in good to this one. Might play some of it later, but anyway. Who is this guy? Besancon Hughes died in 1532. So I guess they had a religiously conflicted Swiss Republican back in his time. We're going to have to go over more of that. We won't take that much long to get back to this. Hey, do you know that Adams State University, guess what? We are part of this, Randy. Adams State gets money for the
Space
National
grant?
Space Grant College and Fellowship Program. Don't know what it means, but I'm going to get to the bottom of it. I don't like it. It's because of all these STEM students here. I'm running around with, well, there's a lot of smart people, but most of them are just really dumb.
More of an embarrassment than making you
Oh
proud?
my goodness. Yes, they don't even, you could ask them, tell me something about the 1920s. Give them 2 or 3 minutes, anything. And like the professor will go like, flappers. Have you ever heard of a flap? Prohibition,
Yeah.
you start dropping hints and like, well, maybe I heard of that. Hey, this was established in 100 years after your favorite year.
Okay.
Actually, this was a late.
88.
It was a late pull up over something. I just left. This is the last time we'll look at this one. But remember, man, there was a time in the 1500s to the time from when Jesus or when they had the Satan, get out. Get out, the 1,000 years is over. They were already using cosmetics that would kill them to whiten their skin. See, I'm closing it but don't think that I'm done harping on the racist stuff. I'm going to leave that open for a couple more days.
Well, the detailing on that robe almost appeared like a serpent, that
Yeah.
in my,
I split that picture. That thumbnail, I was glad to see that thumbnail. I searched something from Flat Earth Nation, Golden Age Past for an old video I did so I could grab that screenshot. This means forever, 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 forever. So it must mean kind of forever. From age to age. Yeah, I was looking at this verse. And this verse has 165 twice, but it's not the same word. So there's that. We can look at that later. Revelation 13, that is the crazy thing. The second beast required all people, great, small, rich, poor, free and slave, to receive a mark on their right hand or on their forehead so that no one could buy or sell unless he had the mark, the name of the beast, or the number of its name. Wow. So we can calculate that one. 12 is just as crazy. That's the whole woman clothed in the sun. Whew. We got to get back to that. But anyway, let's see. Time to get after this guy. Okay. So we're sharing, right?
Yep.
So here's his videos. 1 day ago, 2 day ago, 3 day ago, 4 day ago. We can go back, but if we go, when did he pick back up? About 7, 8, maybe a year ago. But before that, he took like 5 years off. We're gonna, and there he is. Hey, it's tough being a truther. It's even tougher him having to kind of admit to flat Earth now because he kind of got held to the fire of. He's not saying strict flat Earth, but biblical cosmology. I'll bet we'll talk about that again. So here's 12 months ago, 10 months ago, I mean. And then it goes back 5 years ago, 1 year ago, 5 years. Is it Lucifer who's singing to you? Because he had quite a DMT run. So I'm guessing.
Put your hands together one time. I want you to get together. walls, figures all around him. He was very...
5 years, he seems to have been a much younger man. 5 years adds a lot, doesn't it? DMT jesters.
Probably more than you realize. Yeah.
Why? So you know that there's jesters and demons, and you keep smoking the DMT.
Was it and all? I had all these confusing thoughts going through my mind. Very confusing thoughts. But only confusing now I'm out of it. When I was in it, I understood everything. It's like, I get this, I understand this. Of course. And it's funny when you're in that space. It's like, of course, I know this place. I know where I am. I know what's going on here. This is not an alien place. This is the place. This is it. This is it. I don't know what it is. I don't know what I mean when I say that, but I knew it. I knew what it was then and there and that.
On the DMT, I think that's supposed to last like 10 or 15 minutes. It's not something I'm familiar with. But, this is him 5 years ago, he's tripping out. He came back, a year ago with, here's the first one. The Nephilim look like clown, because one of those jesters warned him and told him the Nephilim and clown thing, you better look into it, man. And it was all about his experience, tripping. And now he's back and he's got a new gig. You just saw him 5 years ago. Let me rush through that. I know that's never fun. But where's that? Sometimes he just talks in his car. You know what I mean? One month ago, DMT entities.
I want you to get together.
It's the same thing.
Then, and we know the CIA played their part in making that happen. So this is all orchestrated. Absolutely, the more portals they can open.
And when was this?
They lie. They're very dishonest.
But in reality, this is like his only. He's pretty much on the millennial reign, That's his thing. He got onto it, it says 4 weeks ago. He starts, hey, there's something going on here, a month ago, surrounding the camp of the saints. That's a month ago. Millennial. He hasn't been on this that long. He got off the clowns because we were all over him saying the clowns aren't that. And let's just, all I'm going to say,
I want you to get to
is
sigil magic.
All right, there comes a time when in a short 5 years you quit parting your hair down the middle, you get that receding hairline, you take 5 years off. Randy, would I be wrong to assume, because he talks about his child? So his wife got pregnant during that, DMT time. He's a stay-at-home dad in wherever they keep that stiff upper lip. He's getting quite pasty. Never been a fit man. Now that book's not selling. And he needs hits. Well, I guess he'll talk to Noah, he'll talk to Theron, he'll do anything. I think this man and his renewed effort of 2-3 videos a day sometime is more of desperation. And that, yeah, he'll talk to Noah, he'll talk to these guys, he'll talk to anybody, because wasn't the book supposed to be out and he's still accepting pre-orders? How many pre-orders did you get last week talking about demons and Nephilim? No, you don't worry, honey. I'm going to start writing a book on the millennial reign. Look at my clicks I'm getting. If that is just being too rude, I am sorry. But that's the way I see it, and that he's not a real theologian. He's not building line upon line, precept upon precept. And he's got something, it gets hits Let's put it out there. That's the way I see it, Randy.
And you're probably pretty close to the target.
Right. And Victoria, it's exactly right. I hope she still agrees with me. This was a little bit ago, but believers just want to go home, have this over. They want the North Pole, the camp of the saints, something to be real. Because we haven't embraced that. Let's just go to the scripture.
Or, well, that's probably better than storming the beach and taking one for the team.
Well,
That probably get you home also, I suppose. But,
right. And think about it. They have the MK Ultra abilities to get people to say, I will pick up a gun and charge that hill. They can do it.
Well, that's, the loyal slave mentality and, as far as patriotism and, love your country and,
That's why it's coming back to that.
Tommy for mommy, like you said in the past, those were not so, they're fairly recent times for many of us.
Let no one.
The wars and rumors and wars, it never ends.
No. I'm going to read 1 Corinthians 3, verse 18. Let no one deceive himself. If any one of you thinks he is wise in this age, he should become a fool, so that he may become wise. For the wisdom of this world is foolishness in God's sight. Amen. I can tell you that. As it is written, he catches the wise in their craftiness. And again, the Lord knows that the thoughts of the wise are futile. Therefore, stop boasting in men. All things are yours, whether Paul or Apollos or Cephas, or the world or life or death, or the present or the future. All of them belong to you, and you belong to Christ, and Christ belongs to God. Now, if people that don't like Paul, you don't get this either. You don't get this either. You don't get any of the comfort that, that he writes and tells us how it's going to be okay in the long run. This is a great plan. Nobody's going to be able to come and say, you didn't judge me fairly. It's not going to happen that way. I don't think I've ever fully shared, my baptism. When I really don't remember how old I was. It had to be between 6 and 8. I know there'll be a baptismal record of it in Beaumont, Texas, at the Second Baptist Church. The night before, I had watched on television somebody do the trapeze act, and they were dropping down and catching themselves by their feet and grabbing people. And my dad had rented a pretty nice house. He was a union electrician, journeyman at that time, had a playground in the back. And I remember I was on the monkey bars because of the trapeze thing. And I was thinking, my sisters, can hang upside down by their knees. I wonder if I could hang upside down by my ankles. And I could. So I pulled myself down and locked my ankles in there and figured as long as I don't swing too much going down. So I slowly lowered myself down and was hanging upside down. And my mom comes out the back door and says, there's somebody here I want you to talk to. I said, look, I'm upside down. And she goes, I know, come on. And so I went in, and it was somebody that she goes, this man's going to tell you the gospel. I said, what is that? She goes, he's going to tell you about Jesus. I said, do you want to get the girls? And she goes, this is just for you right now. And of course I believed right away, you know, and it was just, you know, and ever since then, it's been that way, you know, and it's fully documented. Almost every day of my life has been documented for the last 8 years. And even before that, you know, it's a pretty good photographic reference when you're doing what I did, coaching at Christian Liberty Academy satellite schools. You can't do that in a corner, you know, but we don't know these other people. But we do know they're not trying to go line upon line, precept upon precept. Let's check it out. You know, we got Theron going like, I know the mystery name of Jesus that's written that nobody else knows. It's Jesus. And he wants to be taken seriously. Sorry. You know, go sell that somewhere else to the people that in 2 months from now are going to be going like, aren't you supposed to be at the North Pole or something? This is life or death. You know, before this, you know, when I set my intent, it's not to go and like argue with jesters while I'm on DMT. We had serious questions. The soul, Randy has told me today, it has no gender or race. Yet, we should fear only God who can divide the soul and the spirit. What is the difference? When did we get it? What, shared reality? I wrote that down. You were going too fast. I put down body and soul conscious may be a shared reality at least.
Yeah, the consciousness of the soul, does that share the consciousness of the body or the mind, you know, as far as and then the staining.
Yes, and I wrote down the stain of sin is where, because it is someplace physically, you know, it from the eye to the black goo, we can trace it, but I need more of a hint. I can't just, it's somewhere.
No, but you know, when the two are paired, the soul and conception, when they're paired at that time,
Spark of life. I got it. That's clear. I got it.
Well, that's what I'm saying. You know, at that time, it must begin pure, but how long does it? You know, what could be in whatever the mother's doing during the time of, you know, carrying the child, you know, to birth.
Prenatal.
You know, yeah,
Turn
you
in.
know, is there anything that can happen?
Is there anything that could make women more upset if Paco starts talking about prenatal care? I already want them to wear bonnets, and they're not that happy about it.
Well, you know, David confesses he was conceived in his mother's sin.
Yeah,
you know,
wish I could have said hello to Vara earlier. I understand he's checking out, but thank you so much. And stay warm.
And Finland, is that?
Yeah, he's our guy on the ground if there's ever an outbreak of hostilities in Finland.
Yeah,
seems to be he's a little Nephilim too.
Yep.
Yeah, we don't even have time to get into it, but I hope that people realize when, you know, I'm a Nephilim, I want to be like one of Joshua's mighty men, one of David's mighty men, you know, because that's the same word as what Nimrod was, a mighty man. It was a mighty man. You know, yeah, there was some shenanigans going on in Genesis chapter 6, but God took care of that. And let's start over, you know, in Genesis chapter 9. Let's go forward. Let's go, you know, in from the beginning. It's all going to work out for good. You're the seed. The separating the bone and the marrow, there was something there along with that separating the soul and the spirit. So Eve made from a bone, didn't need to have the breath of life breathed into her, didn't need the the stain, the stain of Stin, it got processed out of the bone when that was happening, whatever, how that happened.
Well, at that time, the sin, they haven't fallen yet, but it would take place shortly.
All right. So the other guy, Noel, he's bad enough. I got, enough there. Enough, Paul. You want me to get together now? No, I want you to sell a book, do your homework, help raise that baby, maybe let your wife come home and stay with the baby, and or go get a cabin and move off grid or do something. But hijacking theology and acting like you're an expert and getting in on all of the shows and spreading, he doesn't care. If you want to be Hebrew roots, he's Hebrew roots. You want to be Anunnaki, go to the center of the Jules Verne, he's there. That is going to only last a short time, because things are happening right now. Where I didn't just tell everybody that that atmospheric river is going to hit Hollywood, where Satan is, his throne was. Yeah, that's happening, and that's not going away, and it's going to all keep tying in. You think that there is not going to be so many broken hearts when they're not raptured on April 8th? I can see that building already, brother. You know which one?
Another disappointment, I suppose, for many.
They are always,
as long as they don't, start, pounding the whatever tainted Kool-Aid, and who knows, what.
Even if you try to eat healthy, I guess eating Cheerios, and everything else, they're poisoning us. It's we can't blame the people. Oh, you got diabetes, you must be fat and lazy. No, the food has poisoned them to make them that. And it takes a conscious
I was referring to that guy that had wasn't that down in Brazil where they were drinking the tainted Kool-Aid? Wasn't there supposed to be some sort of rapture?
Jim Jones, and it was in Guyana, French Guyana. And they killed a congressman, and jeez, it was hundreds of people.
Well, that's what I was, hinting at when I said what I said. But
yeah, that guy was CIA.
Yeah, and that's been a while ago. So probably a lot of people, unless you're our age, probably,
Well, that one was in a very deep file. The synapses were almost ready to give up on that one. Hey, think you could do me a favor, Brother Randy?
What's this?
Well, let's just break down the whole Hagar and Sarah situation for these lovers of the Hebrew roots and you black Hebrew roots too, people. Just because I'm all we're racist and I hate it, don't you think you guys are off the hook like you're the good guys? It's a lot of this is your fault. You're the tribe of Judah. You know it. And you chose Barabbas. Way to go. And you fled back to Egypt. Nice going. No wonder, so don't beat your chest and tell me you're the black tribe of Judah, because guess what? I don't care. God can raise up the real spirit from rocks. But we're not rocks. We're the humans. But he can change our hearts of stone. Sorry, Randy, you were going to do some reading.
At 21?
Yeah.
Sure, I'll attempt this. Tell me, you who want to be under the law, do you not understand what the law says? For it is written that Abraham had two sons, one by the slave woman and the other by the free woman. His son by the slave woman was born according to the flesh, but his son by the free woman was born through the promise. These
Hey, I
things
got
serve.
to interrupt you, brother.
uh,
Guess there's a special guest in the house. It's Mr. Joaquin. How you doing, man?
uh,
Yeah, let me scoot over.
and a happy good evening.
I was hoping you came by. I left the door open in case you were going to stop back by. I even rolled up a fatty. Yeah. And we're going to be, I was just raking some people over the coals. Some people are very patient with it. Hey, Muddy Orphans is in the house. Victoria is still sticking with us, I hope. More people are watching than commenting, a lot more. There's 14 people watching, few people commenting. Okay. Joaquin, he saved my grade and helped me get a C in ceramics. If your case, out of
Last semester.
the last semester, out of the
Yep.
goodness of his heart, after they busted me, they got my warrant, and I had to go pay it. I should have just paid that ticket. Instead of telling the district attorney to kiss my ass, I'm a free man and I don't need a driver's license and I'm not going to court and shit. Who knew he'd be so mad? And who knew he would keep getting reelected? You know what I mean?
Yeah. You didn't like
That paper will burn
tone
off.
you were
Don't worry about it.
playing.
I hated to interrupt you, Randy, but
No, you have to do what you have to do.
yeah. Any comments on the Hagar and Sarah that
Well, yeah, there's
before you get back to that, I want to
the line of the genetics, same father, certainly different mothers.
Yeah.
But
and the Bible warns us, let's don't go looking at endless genealogies.
But the difference is, the flesh and the promise is what's
right. It all comes down to God's
justified.
promise. Let's see. Mystery explained. Where is that one long list about here it is. Here's what's going to make them cry. I'm going to read this one and then you can get back to Galatians. Because here's what people don't understand is that our country is judged. The merchants of the earth will weep and mourn over her, Jezebel, Babylon. And it means Jerusalem. Because there's no one left to buy their cargo of gold, silver, precious stones. It names everything, pearls, fine linen, purple silk. But at the very end, besides the wheat and everything you need to eat, horses, chariots, slaves, that is the souls of men. And they were, and we have to come to grips with, in the back of our minds, we know slaves make our cell phones. Slaves make our refrigerators. Slaves make everything in China, and China's willingly doing it to make us go in debt because the hammer is coming down, man. That's what I think. Because we don't care about the souls of men. We have a good life, and if there are slaves out there in some other country, too effing bad. That's what it seems like. So I'm going to take.
Yeah, the comfort zone is they're going to shrink the comfort zone is what it amounts to. Goes in the comfort zone.
And the people that have honed in on, oh my gosh, there's going to be a rapture and it's coming this April 8th, that false hope sucks the life out of them. That's what I'm warning people out. So here you got two mountains. And I think that the people that are Judaizers and Galatians, they're being warned. They're trying to take you back to the law, which is not where you want to go. So you have it, Randy. I'll try to keep up.
24. These sayings serve as illustrations, for the women represent two covenants. One covenant is from Mount Sinai, and Arabra, and corresponds to the present day Jerusalem because she is in slavery with her children. But the Jerusalem above is free, and she is our mother, for it is written, Rejoice, O barren woman, who bears no children. Break forth and cry aloud, you who have never travailed, because more are the children of the desolate woman than of her who has a husband. Now you, brothers, like Isaac, are children of promise. At that time, however, the son born by the flesh persecuted the son born by the Spirit. It is the same now. But what does the scripture say? Expel the slave woman and her son, for the slave woman's son will never share in the inheritance with the free woman's son. Therefore, brothers, we are not children of the slave woman, but of the free woman.
And we should celebrate that. No matter what the wide road says, well, that doesn't seem fair. You know, they expelled the slave woman. You know, it's laid out here. And how do we know that we can use this as a good illustration of what's right or what's wrong? Because the Bible says, here's an illustration, you know. And sometimes in other places it'll say, this is a type or this is a metaphor. Then you can safely use it. Other times you may not. So here we can. Mount Sinai, that's Hagar. That's no good. And there were never 10 lost tribes of Israel in the term of like, where'd they go? I don't know. They were lost because they left the one true God. That's how you get lost. James didn't write a letter to the tribes that are in dispersion, you know, you 10 lost tribes. He was just being honest with them. Until you come back to Yahweh, Jehovah, the Most High God, you're lost. It's not that they didn't know where they were. How can you hide a whole kingdom that big? It's just knuckleheadish. Well, that was a, you know, we could go on and on. We have the Revelation 18, but perhaps I want you to, since you haven't seen this, and honestly, I'm going to visit with Joaquin for a minute. I'm going to let this play, Rand. If you have anything to say, just go ahead, but I'm going to take a few minutes off here.
And this was released today, huh?
8 hours ago.
Okay.
Let me. I don't want to stop the mic. I'll just be quiet. Yeah, it's fairly interesting.
On why all these different people were sent to specific locations. So let's get into it now. We're going to start with the Irish briefly. And of course, there was the potato famine, as well as all sorts of other factors, which led to this unprecedented migration that happened with the Irish. And they were on board what were referred to as these coffin ships. Unfortunately, a lot of deaths, very unpleasant all the way around. But the phenomenon of migration from Ireland is recorded, we're told, since the early Middle Ages, but it can be quantified only from around 1700. And since then, between 9 and 10 million people born in Ireland have emigrated. So it's my conjecture that the reason behind the stated reasons we're told all these people are being sent to specific locations, the reason behind that is there are artifacts. If these sites, some of these cities were pre-existing, there are artifacts that are buried that are identifiably Irish or Scottish. So you have to get people, if you're reintroducing people, they gotta go back to specific locations. Because even though they're retelling a story, we're being given these fake histories, they have to match somewhat. So I think that's what's happening. And we're gonna detail that with the Scottish here, but just wanted to lay that out. Now the Scottish, getting to them, between 1820 and the start of the First World War, over 2 million Scots emigrated to Canada, United States, and Australia, to name a few. But you also had the clearance of people from the highlands of Scotland. And this started, I believe, in the 1700s. The highland clearances were the forced evictions of a significant number
Hey,
of
Randy, you
tenants in
there?
the Scottish
Yep.
Highlands and
You know what I
Highlands,
think?
mostly in two
What's
phases.
this?
But you have
That once again, I'm a little Nephilim, but how about that conspiracy are us? I mean, that's what the world needs is a little bit more creative thinking, man. These famines, the Irish, the Scottish, they had to fill in the blanks because they had those names on the wall. So let's get some of these people over there. And it's a good, I mean, it works for me.
Yeah, and it's a twofold getting them there, but driving them off their land,
Yeah.
to get them, where they end up. But yeah, it's a full scale plan, probably.
Ruthless. The Bible times and even the Bible times we live in, it's not just the wolves in sheep clothing. There's wolves out there just got pounded in their chest going, I'm a wolf, suck it, and it's like, no, you're a badass. I do not want to fight you, Yeah, they're
Well,
not afraid. They'll kick you
Yeah.
off your land and not even, it'd be like that woman that wiped her mouth and said, I haven't done anything wrong. They're less than human.
Yeah.
this 110-year or so period of time in the forced evictions of these people working the land. And not only is it forced emigrations, but they're being sent to specific locations, including Australia as well. And I mention Australia for a reason.
It's always with you
Second,
Australians.
looking into these highland clearances.
Just kidding, but not
no
really.
comprehensive expert
They're
consensus
suspicious.
exists about the causes.
And don't forget the sheep.
Results
Yeah.
clearances.
Wow.
However, we can
I can't
say
tell
that
a
the
sheep or a
Scottish
goat,
Highlands
man. I
went
really
through a
can't by
period of
looking
great
at 'em.
upheaval around the middle
I mean,
of
that
the
looks like a sheep.
1700s. I would
Yeah.
have to agree with that. And just on the Isle of Skye
That one
alone,
looks
more
mad.
than 40,000 people received writs of removal. So I
Little
think
bearded
the
boy
reason,
on the
once
right.
again, is because if a lot of these cities were pre-existing,
Yeah,
I think
got
some of the
hit by the
artifacts
Armageddon.
point to specific groups of people. So you got to get those same nationalities back in specific locations. And with regards to the highland clearances, I just wanted
I'm
to
supposed
mention
to be
this brief
Welsh
snippet here. While some of the
and
removals
German.
were done voluntarily, the majority were a product of coercion from the landowners. Homes would
But
even be set
there's
alight
some rich
to
people in
ensure
my
that their
family. They
former
did one.
residents
They were
could not
doing
return.
genealogies
So a
from the
lot of these
1960s on.
dwellings,
They
these
got it all the
crofts,
way
I
back
believe, were
to
referred to as, but a lot of these dwellings are
late
in ruins, and I'm told
1600s.
it was the landowners, but I think
Harder to
they
get the
might be the
first time there
product
was
of
a
a
Hughes. It
destructive
was
event, and this are just some
the
immigrant
Sarah Cobb was our first known that goes back to the Hughes that
Real
came.
to happiness, huh?
Yeah, we had Cobb as one of our last names, Williams, Jones, Schroeder, and Hughes.
Okay.
So not very, pretty much just pasty white all the way. We're sailing west. We're sailing west to prairies, land, sun kissed and blessed. The crofter's trail to happiness. You see, these men have taken a loan, bought a kit town, and they're headed for somewhere on the Canadian prairies. That there's a few old mud flood buildings, and then they'll throw up their little thing, and they'll have their own,
Voila, instant happiness.
a chance to work. And for some people, it worked out, and for the black people, it didn't.
in
And the Native Americans, they got the
1900s,
smallpox
going to the
to
Canadian
death.
prairies. But that takes us to
Coffee
Melbourne in
Palace.
Australia. And I do believe a lot of these sites are older than we're
Is that
being
loud
told,
enough?
and they were
Yeah,
pre-existing.
oh yeah.
We're being told all of this happened in the 1800s, the construction of a lot of these massive buildings, including this one, this Federal Coffee Palace, which again, I think is older than the 1800s. But underneath a lot of these buildings,
Hey, Randy, that's neither coffee, nor a palace, nor federal. How about that?
they find these buried
It
levels.
looks sort of fancy
In
though.
Melbourne, they found these buried blocks in 2017.
I'm thinking, I mean,
and we're told the street
isn't this one of the ones that the bottom floors are usually buried, and they go in on the third floor because we like our pediments close. So if you ask me, we normally would see this as like a 5 or 6, and then like, oh, it has a remarkable underground. Tear it down. They're on to
Yeah.
us. Well, too late. The Lord has shown us the light, but it's still going to be a very
Yeah.
narrow road. Most people, their hearts aren't changed. They're going to go, what babbling nonsense are you talking about? Well, I just think it looks like that should be the first floor in our modern world. That's all.
Street levels are raised. I think it was in the 1850s or 60s. Most people forgot that happened, and it gets rediscovered. But a lot of the artifacts they find point to Scottish origin. And with that being said, you have to get people of Scottish descent into these areas. So I think that's one of the reasons behind a lot of these forced immigrations. But again, there's this overwhelming pattern I talk about. And we're going to get back
I
to
love that
Melbourne,
one
but
where it
this
shows that
pattern is
there's the
some
well.
event buried a lot of sites.
Remember this
and
one?
this
He's
has
shown
been
this in a couple of videos that there's
Yeah.
that well on a map.
Yeah, the two
And
red
the
arrows.
building over here, I think, is partially buried, going like, hey, what the hell? How come this thing's under the ground, But, this is an excellent example. In 8 hours, he's got 6,000 views. He does one video a week. He's got 104,000. He thinks about them. He ties them in. He's not even, he's entertained that, mud flood was Armageddon, but he wants to call it the event, cool, but a lot better than the other ones I've been talking about.
And he's been around. I mean, he's been fairly consistent over a number of years now.
Right.
the Netherlands,
sure.
and there.
But the rest of it, I don't think you get the only, what I was saying, is the most, the fresh, the new, the type of creative thinking we need is that they knew where they had to go. Like, hey, want a good deal on a kit town in Canada?
Well, no, but he did a few, clown things also, Nephilim clown things. Conspiracy.
Good night, Terry. We're about to wrap it up too. Victoria, you are a blessing. From Manly P. Hall to Maurice Samuel. Well, after the show, you know what that means? I'm going to have to look it up. And in case people didn't know, they could look up Muddy Orphans 1812 and subscribe to him. He is a content provider. But I feel like my voice is about to go out, so I'm going to wrap it up, Randy. Any final words?
Well, yeah, just be as far as anything that someone may say or whatever you see, I guess it doesn't hurt to ponder on some of it before jumping to conclusions or something. But
right, that's the main takeaway, everybody.
I mean, yeah, you might want to maintain your faith, certainly, but as far as changing horses in the middle of the stream may not be the best idea either.
Yeah. So with that said, I'm going to remind everybody that this is a flat earth nation, that the golden age is past because the mud flood was Armageddon. The mud flood was Armageddon. We're never going to tell you anything else. We believe we are called and we have your best interest at heart. Amen. Hallelujah. Aho. Aloha. Arrivederci. Ciao. Sayonara.